It's a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. So, start by saying that my wife Mary is in the back, and we thought that we had done everything right. We raised our son George to love learning, to be an independent and creative thinker, and he loved school, both the exceptional public elementary school he attended and the independent music immersion school where he spent his middle school years. His mother is a teacher. I was active in PTO, then was elected to the Board of Education, as Joel said, and became president of the Board of Education. The transition to high school seemed to go smoothly at first for George. He made friends and he got good, if not spectacular grades. We reminded him that better grades were essential to getting the scholarship he would need to attend the competitive college we envisioned him attending so he could have a high-paying job doing something equal to his intellect, hopefully something tech. Maybe we reminded him a little bit too much of this. We definitely didn't spend a lot of time asking him what he thought of his future. We had done everything right, right up until the point when our vision was not matching the reality of George's life. Then we started to do things wrong. In short, we had a hard time accepting that George had grown to become who he is. Equally difficult was the realization that the school we had put so much faith in, the one that had served him so well, that we had served so well, was not helping our son. Quite the contrary, it was making him unwell. It wasn't the school's fault, of course, but accepting that our son didn't fit into the one-size-fits-most environment was very difficult for us. Even though George was putting it to us in plain language, we kept interpreting that language as a phase, something that he'd get over. But it wasn't a phase, and our vision ended with a crash when he just stopped going to school. Figuring out what to do after he stopped going was even harder. We were lucky to have the support of great friends. I remember one friend sent me an e-card with a link to the Apple Think Different commercial. Here's to the crazy ones. That one, notice how it starts, here's to the crazy ones, because, you know, I guess the fact that Steve Jobs was saying it, though, made it pretty cool. One friend who's a highly regarded superintendent, whose own son followed a circuitous path, said, "Your son's getting on a different train than the one you booked. You can either get on the train with him, or you can stay on the platform and watch it pull away." So we got on the train, and it was a very bumpy ride at first. We blamed ourselves collectively, we blamed each other individually, and we looked back with regret at what we considered to be mistakes. The ride was made smoother by PLC, which empowered George to take responsibility for the rest of his learning experience, and it helped him to formulate a plan with a possible path to college. Before PLC, George was dead set against college, but being at PLC reignited his love of learning, and he began to explore his own possibilities, not our vision for him, not something tech. George wasn't the most active member of PLC, but he got to sleep, which was very, very important. And he got to learn what he wanted to learn, and he even taught a course while working part-time. During what would have been the spring semester of his senior year of high school, Joel told us George had gone as far as he could at PLC. By PLC standards, he was a success. So while George hung around town for another 9 months or so, last November he moved to Philadelphia, living on his own in an efficiency apartment, really cool neighborhood. And this past January he enrolled at the University of the Arts, where he's studying music composition. Like all of us, some days are better than others. I have to admit that we're happy that he's in college, and we're pretty much leaving him alone this time, letting him figure things out for himself. It was a difficult transition for him from the loose structure of PLC to a summer and a fall of no structure, to getting back into a structured schedule. But he's composed some of the best music he ever has, and he's been writing music since he was in 7th grade. And there's no power school, no nagging from us. He knows as long as he's enjoying this part of his learning journey and remains a student in good standing, we don't care about his grades. We don't care about grad school. He's free to tell us his grades or not, and we don't ask. So what did we learn? Well, the obvious is that one size does not fit most, and that schools are not well equipped to offer a thorough and efficient education to kids with multiple intelligences. I personally hold out hope that a willing public school leader looking out for the true wellness of all students will want to learn from a place like PLC. Maybe I'm just a dreamer. PLC also helped us to let go of our well-informed but rather narrow view of what an education should be. What else did we learn? I think for us, one of the most profound revelations was that for all of his angst and his sometimes erratic behavior, our son actually knew better than we did what was best for him. That time, at least. Today, our relationship with George is much different. He sees our support as something freely given, for which he is extremely grateful. He realizes that we only want to see him happy, that he has the time and space to pursue his passion. He calls us when he wants advice, which is a nice change for a kid who placed a premium on self-reliance, as Joel can testify. At a college for the visual and performing arts, he can focus on what he loves and not have to take courses that he's not interested in. Getting very emotional here. Sometimes he calls and just wants to talk, which is really cool. And most of the time he picks up the phone when we call, if he's awake. I think he realizes on a level he couldn't understand when we were trying to decide his path for him, that our love for him is unconditional. So without PLC, we doubt George would be in college. Frankly, we don't know what he'd be doing. We're grateful for the work everyone did. And that's why I jumped at the chance to come up here and talk and blubber about our family's journey. Thank you.